The return of John Marino marred by a 5-3 loss to the Montreal Canadiens. We're going to talk about that Montreal game. Come on back and join us. Robin's got the night off, so it's me, Tom Callahan, here with you on the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast.
You are Locked On Utah Hockey Club, your daily podcast on the Utah Hockey Club, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining me, and thank you for making this your first listen every single day when it comes to the Utah Hockey Club. I'm Tom Callahan. Take a moment, hit the subscribe button if you don't mind. If you're on YouTube, get that thumbs up, a little smash as well. The like button helps us with the algorithm, and it helps you find more great hockey content in your feed as well. So, hey, win-win, right? That's what we're all here for. And also click the bell on YouTube. That'll let you know when we drop a new episode. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Montreal game in the books on a Tuesday night, and it was a 5-3 loss. John Marino did return in this one. We're going to get to talking about him. We're going to hear a little bit from the locker room as well. And hopefully some answers to the questions that I'm going to be asking here on this show. And you know what? Some of the questions aren't going to have answers. So in case you're new to the show, I am veteran NHL voice Tom Callahan. I appreciate you being here with me as we take a look back and wrap this one up. A game that unfortunately it started well enough for Utah Hockey Club, but they just couldn't quite finish it. And some of the things that I'm concerned about, and I'm sure Utah fans are concerned about, really reared their head in the second and third period. First period, on balance, was pretty good. Utah was up 2-1 at the end of the period. Josh Doan and Nick Bjugstad scored. I thought they scored. Doan's goal was beautiful. Great passing. Schmaltz and Keller with the assists on that one. And that's just 2:11 into the game. So also a great start. What I didn't like was the next shift, 3:18. So literally a minute, 7 seconds later, Matheson ties it. I'm not a fan of that. I don't like that. We've seen that a lot from Utah Hockey Club this year where they just don't hold it together after a goal for or a goal against. They're quick to give them up. And that is something that I think it's mental as much as physical. You really have to be on the ball. You have to not get too high, not get too low. You got to follow through on that. And other teams have been able to capitalize on that all season. This is not a new problem. But later in the period, they do score with under a minute to go. And I like goals for in the final minute and first minute of a period. I don't like them against. But that's a nice little momentum swing right there. And Bjugstad's able to kind of bank one in there. And Maltembo just kind of had it roll up his back, lost it. It ended up going in the net. Great. That's a nice break. I think they worked hard to generate that break and get a little bit of that puck luck. So I like that. I don't mind that at all. But then into the second period we go. So shots in the first. By the way, check this out. Montreal, at the time, they scored on their only shot of the game. Well, it was one goal on one shot. The first period finished 14-3 in shots. So Utah did what they needed to do in the first period. The only thing I would have liked to have seen them do is score another goal. But still, 2-1, nice job against a Montreal team that's been giving up over 3 a game this year. It's why I took the boy did that pay off. I really liked where that was. But then in the second period, outshot 12-6. In the third period, outshot 11-5. Kind of falling back into the old ways here. And what happens in the second period? Montreal scores twice. So they go from trailing to leading. Patrick Laine, remember I said put Laine on his Heine? Well, no, he got his 10th in the 10:40 of the second period. And then Kirby Dach scores. Dach ended up with 2 on the evening, and we're going to talk about a second goal too. But that's tough. Now you're down. And that goal at the end of the second period comes to the minute 26 left. Another bad time to give up a goal. You lose the momentum going in. However, Utah did come out and tie it. 3:07, Logan Cooley scores from Schmaltz and Keller. And again, I thought Schmaltz and Keller were very good. By the way, Doan's goal, I don't know if I mentioned it was power play goal, was really good. And then in the third, they had more power play chances, but didn't generate much at all. off those late power play chances. In fact, what kind of kills me is the zone entries and the inability to gain possession and set up, especially when you're a man up. And Montreal wasn't doing anything special. Their special teams are mid-pack. They're not great. They're not the worst in the league, but they're not great. They're mid-pack. And what happens? Well, Utah goes in, they try to carry it in, they get forced into a turnover on the wall, puck out of the zone. Utah tries to dump it in, they don't retrieve it, puck out of the zone. Utah tries to carry it around and maybe do a little too much, knocked off the puck, puck out of the zone. They just don't have the ability to get in, set up, and maintain that possession, and that's troubling. And they're going to need to figure that out. So that happens. And then, so it's tied 3:07 into the third with Cooley's 12th. But then Cole Caulfield, who was also my pick for anytime goal scorer, gets his 24th, which I think was a smart bet. Hudson and Matheson with the assists on that one to 6:33, and Montreal's back in front, as it turns out, to stay. Now, during one of those power plays I talked about, not only was Utah turning the puck over, resulting in clears, but they turned it over, resulting in a breakaway for Evans, who then ended up getting a penalty shot awarded, which, by the way, a little history here for you. First ever penalty shot at Delta Center. Unfortunately, not for the good guys. But Montreal does not convert. Evans is stopped by Vejmelka. Big save. Big save at that moment, because it does two things. Number one, and the fact that a penalty shot was called is a big deal, because it doesn't give Montreal a power play and wipe out Utah's power play. Utah kept its power play because a penalty shot, when that's awarded, the breakaway is your power play, for lack of a better term. There's no 2-minute minor associated with it. You either score on the penalty shot or you don't. So the penalty shot is awarded, and a penalty shot is awarded when a player is judged to have a clear break in on the goaltender. So no defender between the attacking player and the goaltender, and they are pulled down from behind, or they are otherwise interrupted from getting a shot off from behind by a defending player who basically commits a foul or a penalty to prevent that chance. That's what happened. That's why Evans got the penalty shot. Didn't score. And it keeps Utah on the power play. So that was nice. Potential big swing there, but it was not to be. Later in the period at 16:15, Doc scores again. Marino reaches out to try to deflect this puck away. Instead, the puck skips off the blade of his stick and turns into a bit of a knuckler. Vejmelka was looking for the shot to go high. It kind of dove low under his glove, and it goes. That's a tough one for a goalie, not a redirect like that. So that was a tough one. But I mean, Montreal was in the box a lot. They really were. They were in the box quite a bit. They couldn't help themselves. And Jack-Eye picked himself up a 10-minute misconduct along with Kesselring at 6:54. So, I mean, things got a little feisty at one point. But honestly, just Utah's inability to convert on the power play hurts. And the inability to maintain the puck to enter the zone with possession, maintain possession hurts. That was a tough one. So, Utah, boy, it just... You shake your head a little bit at that, at how tough it was. And unfortunately for the Utah Hockey Club, that's a game I think they should have won. I really think they should have won. They go 1 for 6 on the power play. They should have had another power play goal in there somewhere. Would have really gone a long way. They did keep Montreal to 0 for 3 on the power play. That's good. I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, a winnable game that they lose. And that is really what the story is that I'm taking out of this game against Montreal. So let's see. We have more to get to. We're going to get some locker room reaction in there. I know head coach Andre Tourigny will join us for sure. Going to try to get some player reaction as well tucked in there. And want to talk about John Marino's return, what he looked like out there as well, and just where this leaves Utah Hockey Club in the middle of this homestand. So we'll be right back. And today's show is brought to you in part by Game Time. I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, comedy. I love it all. Huge fan of live music, huge fan of musicals, plays. Love it. I love being out. I love seeing performance. To me, that's an awful lot of fun. And, for me, I had that chance. I went to Fenway Park last year. I've told you about that. And that I did get my tickets through the Game Time app for that. But other things I've done in the last year or so, been to some awesome concerts and shows. I'm really looking forward to some of the chances to maybe. Do you know I still haven't seen Hamilton? Not that we need to go into this discussion, but I mean, it's something I want to see, and it's something that I think, if I were looking for tickets, I am for sure going to use Game Time because they make it even easier for you to get your tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, which is Game Time Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching thousands of tickets. And the cool thing is, so when you open up the app, number one, toggle on the all-in pricing. That's highly recommended. So you just know what you're paying. There's nothing hidden, no fees, nothing pops up at checkout to surprise you. If it says $100, $200, whatever it is, that's what you're paying. So do that, toggle that on, and then when you look at your event, you'll get a seating chart. And on the seating chart, you can pinch and zoom and go into where you want to look, or you can type in a section if you know I want to sit in 110. Okay, great. You can go look at 110. And you do this through the app, and it gives you like the panoramic view of the seats. It shows you right where they are, and it shows you the best deals first, and they're easier to find. So it's easier for you to get the best deal on the seats. I think it's just a fantastic way to do things. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code Locked On NHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Gonna pop that Game Time overlay up there for a little bit here. And you know what? Talking about the game tonight, the shortcomings that were exposed, like the zone entries, like the lack of response or the lack of ability to keep the momentum going. I thought at times, quite frankly, they weren't hard enough on Montreal. I thought at times they were not physical enough with Montreal. They really could have been harder on the puck, harder on the man, and they just really weren't tonight. So again, we talk a little bit about the inconsistencies of what this team goes through, how difficult it can be for them to maintain that momentum game to game, and I think we saw a little bit of that again here tonight. So just doing the post-mortem on this one, this to me feels like one that got away. So I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and listen in to what head coach Andre Tourigny had to say.
What was your initial assessment of that one?
It's a good one. It's frustrating. I think we played a really good first period. We had a really good start. I like our cohesion offensively. In the first period, I didn't like our second period starting with getting in the box on ozone stuff. We talked when we came back from New Year's. We talked about the management of the second period, and we had, as a team, we struggled in the second period, and then following 3 games, we were excellent in the second period. We played the game the right way. We had the right mindset. We when I say play the game the right way, we'll be more precise. We play really fast. We aimed the opponent. We did not allow them to change. We were intense without the puck, so they didn't have time and space, so we were able to get the energy on our side all the time, and we had shot volume and so on and so forth. Today we arrived in the second period, and we were so good in the first. I don't know for which reason. We thought the second period will not be a fight or whatever. I don't know. But start getting in the box right from the beginning. So that caught the rhythm. Even in the first, there were a penalty on the other side. And there's a few guys who had tough time to get their rhythm because it's tough to get on to have rhythm on your ice time and your next shift. So long story short, it built up in the second period, and instead to recover, we got worse, and that was the game.
I think that's what it is. Like you're talking about a mental break almost when you get to the second, and how do you kind of move away from that? Because the guys obviously know it's happening.
So that's a good question, but there's no reason to have any excuses. We had a great first period. You need to show up in the second and be even better, because the other side, they will push. They're one of the best team in the NHL in the last 12 games or so, whatever. They have 2 or 3 losses in the last 12 games. So what you expect? You expect you will have 60 minutes, you will roll them over, they won't push back? No, they will push back. You get three power play in the first, 3 or 4 power play in the first period, 5-on-3. Don't you expect if you do something wrong in the offensive zone, you will get called? Come on, you need to be a big boy. That's at some point. On my side, it's time to all of us, coaches, players, take our responsibility and need to be better than that. That's what I think.
That meeting that you mentioned, talking about the second period and whatnot, what was kind of the key focus of that meeting? Was there one thing that you wanted the guys to?
Yeah, the competitiveness of our player, I'll often talk about that. But the competitiveness, when you're competitive and you really want to be a difference maker, there's a downside of it. You're trying to do too much. And there's a lot of extended shift was happening in the second period. And the difference is if you're 30 seconds in your shift, I know you still have energy. But now if you're going in the offense, that goes with the prices. Now you have to come back as well. It's not just to go to a destination. Now you need to come back home after. So if you're 30 seconds in your shift and you go on offense in the second period, now let's say you have success, you're 45 seconds in your shift, you're in your zone, now they recover the puck. Now how much gas you have in your tank to come back and defend? I think that the answer is pretty easy. So now they attack tired player. So now they have possession, they make plays, they should not make play, and stuff like that. You look their goal at 4-on-4, that's exactly what happened. We have opportunity to change, we don't change now, we have tired player, we contain them, they make play. They look like the Red Army. Well, when you play against a tired team, that's how it looks. So you need to manage the game better than that. And that's not throwing them under the bus, and it's all of us. It's coaches and player, we're all in this together. It's one team, it's not one or the other. But that's something we've been really good in the last 3 games. Fantastic against the Island. It was our best period against Florida, who's the best team in the league in the second period. We had the upper end. We dominated the scoring chance, dominated the possession. We did a really good job. Now we arrived today and we did it and cost us the game. So it's frustrating.
What did you see from John Marino in his first game?
Good NHL player, had poise with the puck, made good breakout. Obviously, you need to understand, first time he played in our structure, playing the system. You arrive, it was not a training camp game today. Montreal was a much better team than last time we played them. That was not easy for him, but he did a great job.
What was the strategy behind putting him with Ian Cole in the third period as opposed to Yusuf Allen?
Well, we did want to increase a little bit his ice time and push the pace a little bit, and he played with a little bit of everybody in the third. We really pushed the pace, so that was not steady pairing in the third. Let's put it that way.
What's the process of getting him accumulated to the team, and then just getting his chemistry with everyone?
Yeah, there were a lot of videos. There were a lot of him in the meeting, understanding the situation of the team, what we try to do better, what we're good at, and stuff like that. And there were a lot of individual meeting as well with coaches to understand all the little detail in what we're trying to do. And there were the practice and him paying attention as well during when we were playing game, what was working, what was not working. So I think, all in all, I think he did a good job.
When you look back earlier in the season, you guys had some struggles, streaks. What were some things that helped you to emerge from those, and how can you kind of apply that?
Yeah, today I like the way we play offensively. The team, the other side, I think we had more speed of the rush in the ozone. We generate good offense. I think there's a lot of positive in that way. In the third period, we have 20 shot attempts. So there's positive. So I like the way we play offensively today. I think one theme was we were good defensively when we had even when we had a tough time. I think today we're not as good defensively. So it's try to connect the dots and make sure we connect both. I really like the way we play offensively. We need to duplicate that, but we need to tighten it up a little bit defensively.
All right, that's head coach Andre Tourigny. We're going to talk about John Marino. We're going to do that on the other side of the break. We'll be right back with more Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. And today's show brought to you in part by Indeed. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Well, it's easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page to help write candidates faster. So I've hired folks in my day job, in my real life working in sports, and I have used, let's just say, several different companies and ways to search. And I know that when you want to hire someone quickly, especially, you want to get the best candidates in first. A lot of folks, when they're searching for jobs, they're not going beyond the first page or two, especially in a day's worth, because they want to pick what the top ones are that appeal to them. The first couple they see, they're going to click, they're going to open, they're going to apply. And I think that when your job is at the top, it helps you out. So think about that. That is something important, and it gets your post seen by the right candidates right now. Now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. So just go to Indeed.com/locked-on right now and show your support for our show. Tell them you heard about it here on the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed, is all you need. All right, so there's the promo code at the bottom if you're watching on the YouTube. Hey, if you're still here, subscribe, would you please? And if you're on YouTube, give it a thumbs up, give it the old like. That helps us with the algorithm, helps you with the algorithm. And great hockey content can find more people, can find you, can find me. It really does help us with that, and it will help you as well to find more of great shows like this. So we appreciate you being here, making us your first listen every single day. So that said, as we take a look at John Marino, Marino's return, first of all, I guess let me give you the stat line on Marino. Taking a look at his numbers, +1. So this was, by the way, his first ever Utah Hockey Club game. I don't know if everybody is aware of that. +1, 8, which kind of high for what I thought he was going to get. Now, I'm not going to lie. I thought he might get minutes more like Kesselring. Even Mata and Valimaki got less time than Marino. Marino got 18:04. Sergachev, 23:07. He's always the horse, right? Because he plays all situations. But out of the other defensemen, Cole had 19:40. And then it was Marino, third highest. Then it was Mata, Valimaki, and Kesselring. Kesselring had 13:51. I actually expected maybe somewhere in the 15 range for Marino. Threw him into the fire. No shots, no hits, one giveaway. Did have to defend a 2-on-1, which did a decent job at that. I mean, hit the deck. The pass was already gone, but because the attacking forward on the right wing saw him starting to hit the deck, had to elevate the puck, caused the shot to float high when it landed on the other side. That's fine. The other thing, +1. I don't know if I mentioned that, but you know what? The other thing that I thought about Marino was there were times where you could see he was rusty. And we talk about it a lot, but boy, you cannot simulate a game in practice. You can't. You can't simulate the pace. You can't simulate the recovery period when you're sitting on the bench trying to get your wind back. And you can't simulate gapping up at game speed. And when I say by gap, I mean the gap, literally the gap between the defenseman and the attacking. So much goes into a proper gap. How fast are you backing up? How fast are they going forward? Are they going wide? Are they stopping? Are they slowing down? Are they cutting? You have to constantly be adjusting when you're a defenseman and maintaining that proper gap is critical. And it's a big thing for the NHL level defenseman to be able to do. So Marino, I thought there were times where his gap was a little rusty. His instincts were a little slow to kick in at times, but there are other times I thought, you could see he was doing okay. I think he's still a little has to put that extra half second of thought into moving the puck, making a decision, but that'll all come back. I'm not too worried about that, but it was evident tonight. The other thing that was evident was when you saw him on the bench after a shift and he was just heaving, just trying to get his breath. Again, you cannot condition enough in practice for a game. So that's really, again, to the point I made earlier, why I was so surprised that he actually ended up getting the minutes he got from Andre Tourigny. So a little bit of a shocker there for me, but tough one tonight, all in all, as we wrap it up here on this 5-3 loss to the Montreal Canadiens and the Utah Hockey Club. Now, that leaves them with the rest of this homestand coming up. Rangers on Thursday. That game is at 7 o'clock Mountain Time, 9 o'clock Eastern. 7 o'clock Mountain on Saturday against the Blues. Gotta pack Delta Center for that one. Gotta. Absolutely. That is another must-win game for me. And then the Jets Monday. My Winnipeg Jets coming to town. That's a 7:30 puck drop, by the way. So just a heads up on that. Slightly later start time. And I know sometimes when games are on national TV, they get adjusted a little bit for start times. So just a heads up on that. But I think the Rangers are beatable. But before the homestand, I wouldn't have picked New York necessarily to be someone you just roll over. Yes, the Rangers are struggling, but they have a ton of weapons. But still a winnable game. Still a very winnable game. Blues, a team you need to beat. They're right there with you in the wild card standings. You have to beat this team. So I think that's critical to me. And then the Jets, you got to put in a good showing against the Jets. Could you beat them? Well, sure. Any team can beat any team. But I think you need to go 2-1 over these last three. And whatever you get, you have to get those points, because at this point now on this homestand, you're 1-3. And I wanted at least 4-3 out of the 7-game homestand. Well, now you got to win 3 in a row to do it, which they could, but it's a disappointing start. There's no shame in losing that game 4-1 to the Panthers, which was really a 2-1 game with 2 empty netters. They beat the Sharks, could have beat the Islanders. That's another winnable game they lost. Montreal, winnable game they lost. I just, I'm hoping this doesn't become too much of a pattern, or what'll happen is with all these inconsistencies we're seeing, and they're not ironing themselves out here, and it's January. To me, that's in the fabric. You know what I mean? That's not something you can iron out anymore. That is in the fabric. That is in the weave of the fabric, and that's what needs to change for this team. So I don't know if they need a different approach, if they need something mentally different, something physically different. But right now, it's just not clicking for the Utah Hockey Club. So they're going to have to find a way to get it together. All right. Well, that's going to do it for the show. Again, appreciate you being here. Please remember to like, subscribe. You know what? Tell your friends. Why not? Tell your friends. Because, hey, if they're Utah Hockey too, why not? We all love the same thing. We love talking about hockey and having a good time with it. So you can find me on Blue Sky. I'm at Tom Talks. On Twitter, at Callahan on air. And again, I'm not on Twitter as much anymore, so really Blue Sky is a place to catch me. And then Robin will be back for tomorrow's show. Thanks for catching on with us, everybody. And we look forward to talking to you next time. Tough one again tonight, but your final score, Montreal 5, Utah 3. That's it for our game wrap here. And hopefully on to victory on Thursday night against the Rangers. This has been the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast.